What's up, EZB fam? It's your boy EZB Reads I, which one just call me, and welcome back to EZB Reads. Yet again, we're reading I's Volume 1. Keep in mind there are 15 volumes, some are bigger than others, and one video from now on will equal one volume. So be prepared. Anyways, let's get into this volume. Let me just point out that last time wasn't much of a review due to lack of opinion from me, so this time I'll talk about it more. And I also want to say that if you haven't watched last week's episode, then go ahead and check that out. Anyways, back to your regularly scheduled programming. We start off this chapter with Teratani telling Seto that he will help clear up the misunderstanding between him and Iori, but Seto just tells him to forget it because in his own words, he's no better than the guys from last chapter. Teratani decides to go to McDonald's, asking Seto if he will go with him, but Seto just stays at school to come up with ideas for the freshman party. Later that night in Seto's room, Teratani shows Seto an image his brother made, and to be honest, I want a copy. Whoa! Guys, I'm 15. She's 16. I'm 15. It's legal. Whew. Gosh. Anywho, after seeing this image, Seto starts to get turned on and gets mad at himself because of that. Only for Teratani to tell him it's okay for him to get turned on because he loves Iori, unlike the bullies from yesterday. Later on, Teratani puts the photo in Seto's sketchbook. Hopefully this doesn't cause issues later. In the next page, we see Seto at school with Teratani. Once they reach class, they see Iori, and right at that moment, Teratani yelled to Iori saying that Seto would like to talk to her. Now, giving the chance to fix the misunderstanding from yesterday, he takes her to the roof of the school and for a private talk. Keep in mind, it's a windy day, and they're on the school roof, okay? Cool. Anyways, back to Seto, who's trying to build up the courage to talk to Iori, and when he finally does, he tells her that he wasn't one of the bullies from yesterday. She responds that she knew because the voices she heard didn't sound like Seto at all. After talking a little, Iori asks Seto if he was one of the guys that yelled at the bullies. He answers yes. Iori then tells Seto that she appreciates it, but is surprised because she didn't think that Seto liked her that much. After this, Iori asks Seto if she can see the ideas he came up with, and so he passes the sketchbook to Iori. As soon as she opens it, a strong wind blows, and at that moment, Seto remembers the photo of Iori in the sketchbook and tries to get it back. And right when he almost gets it, the wind stops blowing and the photo stops in front of Iori. Before Seto can stop himself, he falls onto Iori. Luckily or unluckily, depending on whose team you're on, Iori covers Seto's mouth so they don't kiss. Seto backs away in surprise, and after that, Iori slaps him, and she says she hates him. After trying to defend himself, he realizes the wind has died down and the picture had fallen in front of the two people. This is one of the biggest bruh moments in history, ever, and none of y'all can deny that. I don't want to see none of y'all in the comments denying that, okay? Cool. Got it. When Iori notices the photo, she picks it up and asks Seto with a fake smile, "What is this?" But before Seto can answer, she rips up the photo and walks away. And on her way to the exit, she sees Teratani, who tries to explain the situation, but she doesn't stick around to listen.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
As she's going back to class, some of her fellow students tell her that she has been nominated for the Most Beautiful Girl in the School award. She initially says no, but after they beg, she offers them the time that's supposed to be used for her time with Seto during the committee. After realizing this, Seto makes a plan to keep her from quitting the committee, and he fails miserably. After seeing the failure, Teratani tries to convince Iori not to quit, only for him to be stopped because he isn't quote-unquote authorized personnel when Iori enters the room. On his way back to class, Teratani hears a guy with a radio mentioning cameras and Iori. After doing some investigating, Teratani finds a room with two guys looking at live footage of the changing room, which Iori is about to enter. Seeing this, Teratani goes to warn Seto. Whilst this is happening, Iori, realizing that this is a swimsuit photo shoot for the school magazine, starts to leave but gets begged to stay, and so she does, going into the changing room where the girl walks out. But before continuing the story, let's appreciate the artwork of this manga. Like, look at how realistic that girl looks! Hey, Inais, come on man, get back to the story. Okay. Anywho, we return to Iori entering the changing room, and we see where the cameras are positioned. As she starts to change her clothes in a very cautious manner, elsewhere in the school, Teratani tells Seto what happened, and let's just say he got mad. Back to Iori, who is still changing whilst keeping her clothes on, which honestly hurt me a little. As she continues to get changed, Seto races to stop her before she gets exposed. When we cut back to Iori, she's taking off her bra, and right when her breasts are almost visible, she bent over unconsciously, making the pervs watching on the cameras very, blue, because they can't see anything. After bending over, she notices the camera and turns it off, gets dressed, puts her uniform back on, and exits the changing room in uniform, which causes one of the guys to ask why she didn't get changed. To which she responds, she doesn't like changing room with cameras. The other girls respond in surprise and run to the room. When Iori tries to do so as well, a guy blocks her and tells another guy to block the door and that they will trade places in a minute. Honestly, this moment in the story reminds me as to why when I get a girlfriend, I won't trust her around big groups of men, because shit like this could happen. But that's a tale for another day. Back in the story, right when the guy leaves to watch story, Ichitaka comes in with a broom, which honestly he seems to have access to a lot, as if he has like an inventory system somewhere. He then attacks the guy only for the guy to dodge. Seto then tries to take advantage of this, only to get tripped and kicked in the face and then fall on the ground.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Right when all hope seems to be lost for Iori, Teratani presses the fire alarm like a G, causing the guys to run away. When Teratani tries to check on Seto, Seto tells him to go check on Iori first. After finding out she's okay, some teacher goes to turn off the alarm. Soon after, Iori walks out and notices Seto. Teratani then asks aloud, how could those guys do this? Iori then responds, they're just as bad as those guys. She then walks off, but before she can get far, Seto tells her to wait. He then says, we're not like them, don't represent with those scumbags! He continues to yell about how they just saved her and says instead of her quitting the committee, he will, stomping in the opposite direction. Later on that night, he thinks over whether he should stop liking her. But he then comes to the conclusion that no matter what happens, he still has to see her at school the next day. The next day at school, some guys in class talk about how they wish they could have seen footage from yesterday, only for all the girls in class to call them scum and perverts. At that moment, for whatever reason, Seto speaks the godly truth of most of the male population. That guys that don't look at naked girls only exist in fairy tales! Which causes the guys and girls to argue over stupid stuff. Yeah, stupid stuff. Anywho, the teacher then walks in and asks Seto if he had any ideas for the freshman party, which at this point I kind of forgot about. After, Seto responds no. Higemi, which is the teacher's name, tells Seto him and Iori have to meet him after school because he has an idea. After class is over, Seto tries to hide from Higemi, only for him to be waiting after school for him. Later on, after school, we find out the idea Sensei had was a Ninin Baori act. Sorry if I mispronounced that, and if you don't know what Ninin Baori is, it's a Japanese comedic act where two people wear the same large coat and pretend to be one person. One person is the face and the other is the arms. Humor arises from the arms never being coordinated with the face, and if you couldn't tell already, I googled that shit. Don't come at me in the comments. I could have described it from what I saw in the manga, but got lazy and googled it. But keep in mind, I've been writing this script for hours. Give me a little bit of leeway. Anywho, now that you know what it means, I'll explain what positions they are in. Seto is the face and Iori is the arms. Got it? Good. Anyways, as they start to practice, Seto just can't help himself from enjoying Iori's smell and her boobs on his back, but forget that fact for right about now. The teacher then asks Iori to pick up some cake, which I didn't notice before, and feed Seto. Now, I will give you a chance to tell me what you think will happen. A. Iori puts her whole hand in Seto's mouth. B. She smashes the cake on his face. C. She drops the cake on his lap. Or D. She throws it at the teacher. Now keep in mind, if you get this wrong, you have to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and like the video if you already have it. And if you get it right, then in the comments you can put a link to your YouTube channel if you have one. Now then, the correct answer is B, which honestly is kind of a letdown for some people, but if you got the answer wrong, either you are now a new member of the EZB fam, or you have liked the video. By the way, you can do both. And if you got it right, you can type your YouTube channel link in the comments down below. And if you could also help a brother out, like the video please and thank you. Now, back to the story. After the cake gets smashed to Seto's face, the teacher laughs, and while the teacher is laughing, Iori whispers to Seto that she is sorry. And Seto tells her it's okay. And she also apologizes for yesterday. And with those words, the gap between them closed a little bit. A couple days later, not close enough to talk to one another, Iori tells Seto that they need more items for the performance, which inclines Seto to ask if she would like him to go with her to buy the items. And she responds happily, smiling, saying that she would like that. After hearing this, Seto goes home happy that he has a technical date with Iori. And when Seto got home, his mom tells him that they have a special guest coming tomorrow. When Seto asks, who is it? His mom tells him it's a surprise. But Seto being Seto decides not to care about any of that jazz and goes to prepare for his so-called date, which takes him all night. After going to sleep, he wakes up an hour after he was supposed to meet up with Iori, and then rushes to get dressed and go outside, only for when he gets to the door to see Teratani at the door, and behind him was Iori. She then tells Seto that she waited for an hour. She decides to forgive him because she said some mean things in the past, which makes them even now, saying that she's happy the reason he didn't come wasn't due to an accident or something, which caused Seto to fall in love with her even more. And as she turns to leave, Teratani convinces her to stay so that she and Seto could be together. He doesn't tell her about this part though. But before she enters, she remarks that a girl along with 2 boys is kinda sus, to which Teratani responds, asking if she trusts them. She says that as long as Seto is there, she'll be cool, showing that she trusts Seto. But before they enter his room, Seto cleans it up and goes to shave. After shaving, Teratani tells Seto that he's going to be left alone with Yuri. This causes Seto to be nervous. And when he walks into his room, he realizes it feels different to be alone with a female in your bedroom. After looking at her butt, he sits down at the table and tells her to get comfortable. In response to this, she goes to sit down, and before she does, Seto looks at her butt again. And to be honest, I can't blame him. And after a few moments pass, Seto yet again has a daydream about something that really could never happen. In said daydreams, Iori shows Seto her underwear, but before it can get any weirder, Iori brings Seto back to reality. After regaining some sense, Seto notices a fan on his table, which is for the Nin Nin Bao react. He then, out of nervousness, makes a cringy fan joke, to which Iori laughs, causing both to feel more comfortable alone. Before Seto can realize it, they are talking normally to each other, like friends do. This causes Iori to ask if he has experience with girls because he was able to make her feel so at ease. She then mentioned that Teratani told Iori about his Seto's ex-girlfriend and asked if he still loves her. Seto responds no, and then Iori states that she's happy that they can talk like this, finally. After a few seconds pass, she asks Seto where his bathroom is and leaves to go to the bathroom, leaving Seto alone to think about how things have changed for the better. Right after this, the door opens, and in the doorway is a blonde girl in her underwear. She realizes this isn't the room she's looking for and walks out, leaving Seto confused. We then cut to the panel, displaying a note from Seto's mom, saying that Itsuki, who is Seto's ex, is sleeping in the next room. And that is how the volume ends. Thank you guys so much for joining me on my review/reread of Eyes, and I'm happy you guys could join me. We will pick this up next week and finish volume 2. With that being said, that's the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you leave a like. Subscribe today if you're new. When you subscribe, hit that bell icon to be alerted whenever we make a new video. Also, make sure to check out my other content on this channel. And yeah, have a wonderful day. Check it out.